The first thing I felt was the cold. Not the kind of cold you get from sleeping with the window open or a winter breeze brushing your face. It was deeper. It clung to my skin like frost, seeped into my bones, and curled inside my lungs with every breath. I opened my eyes slowly. Fog swirled above me, the kind that looks alive, curling and recoiling as if it knows you're watching. I blinked, trying to adjust my sight. My head felt heavy, my ears filled with a low hum I couldn't quite place. Then I realized I was lying on the ground. The soil beneath me was damp and uneven, littered with dead leaves. As I pushed myself up onto my elbows, something rough scraped against my arm, a jagged stone. I looked closer. It wasn't just any stone. It was a headstone. I staggered to my feet, my pulse thundering in my ears. All around me, rows of gravestones stretched into the fog. Some leaned at odd angles. Others were broken, their inscriptions eroded by time. The air smelled of damp earth and something sweeter, rotten. I tried to remember how I'd gotten there, but my thoughts were sluggish, slippery. The last clear memory I had was nothing. Just darkness. My heart rate spiked. I told myself I had to leave, find a road, a house, anything. I picked a direction and started walking. The mist seemed to thicken with every step. The graves were closer together now, the ground more uneven. My foot caught on something, and I nearly fell face first into an open hole in the earth. It was a grave, freshly dug. The wooden coffin inside was shattered, its lid lying askew. I peered inside. Empty. A chill spread through me, and I hurried past it. I told myself that people dig up graves for all sorts of reasons: maintenance, crime, rituals. But the next grave I saw was open too, and the next. Within minutes, I realized nearly every grave I passed was empty. The silence pressed against me. No birds, no wind, no sound except the crunch of my footsteps. Then, another sound, a faint scraping. I froze, straining to hear. It came from somewhere up ahead beyond the fog. It was slow, uneven, like something being dragged. Against every ounce of instinct, I moved closer. The scraping stopped. I was about to turn back when a shadow appeared through the mist, tall, hunched, moving in jerks as if each step was an effort. My breath caught in my throat. It wasn't walking toward me. It was circling. I ducked behind a large monument, my heart pounding so hard I was sure it could hear me. Peering around the stone, I saw it more clearly. A man, or what used to be one. His clothes hung in tatters, skin pale and tight against his skull. His head lolled unnaturally with every step, and in one hand he clutched a rusted shovel. He stopped suddenly and sniffed the air. I pressed my back against the monument, forcing myself not to breathe. Seconds passed. Then, slow and deliberate, the shovel scraped against the ground again, moving away. I stayed hidden until the sound faded into the fog. When I finally emerged, the air felt heavier. The mist seemed to pulse, closing in. I tried to retrace my steps, but the graves had shifted. Headstones I didn't recognize loomed where they shouldn't. It was as if the cemetery was rearranging itself around me. I don't know how long I wandered, but eventually I saw something in the distance, a structure barely visible through the fog. A building meant safety. Shelter. I ran toward it. It was a mausoleum, small and made of weathered stone. The heavy iron door was ajar. I hesitated at the threshold, the smell of damp stone and old rot spilling out, but the open cemetery behind me felt worse. Inside, the light was dim, the only illumination coming from dozens of candles arranged in a circle on the floor. In the center stood a coffin, its lid propped open. Carved into the wood, in letters that looked freshly cut, were the words, "Welcome back." My breath caught. I stepped closer, my hand trembling as I reached for the edge of the coffin. It was empty. Something crunched under my foot. I looked down, a bone, human, yellowed with age. Then I heard footsteps, not the shuffle of the gravedigger I had seen earlier. These were deliberate, heavy, coming from the darkness at the far end of the room. A shape emerged, a figure wearing a cracked porcelain mask, its expression fixed in a grotesque smile. It was tall, impossibly thin, dressed in black funeral robes that trailed along the floor. It raised one bony finger and pointed directly at me. I stepped back. The candles flickered violently, as if reacting to something unseen. From the shadows behind the figure, more masked shapes emerged. They surrounded the coffin, silent, their heads tilting in unison. The first one spoke, its voice a whisper that filled the room. "You don't belong here, yet." The candles went out. Darkness swallowed me whole. When my eyes opened again, I was outside, The cemetery stretched before me, but it wasn't the same. The fog was gone. The sky was pitch black, but no stars shone, only a faint red glow on the horizon. The open graves were no longer empty. Figures stood in them. Some were skeletal, others rotting, others fresh as if newly buried. All of them stared at me. One stepped forward. Its face was mine. The sight rooted me in place. It smiled, a smile that didn't belong to me. Its eyes were bottomless black, reflecting nothing. It raised its hand and beckoned. I stepped back, my heels sinking into soft earth. I looked down. I was standing in a grave, freshly dug, my name carved into the headstone. Hands erupted from the soil, grabbing my ankles, my wrists. They were cold, strong, relentless. I screamed, thrashing, clawing at the dirt, but they pulled me down. The last thing I saw before the earth covered my face was the other me, watching, silent. I woke again in the mausoleum. The coffin was closed now. The inscription had changed, "Welcome home." And from inside the coffin came the sound of something breathing. Slowly, the lid began to rise.
Subscribe to Horror Story Bar.